In the past few weeks, a lot has changed for many of us. We are now working from home. We are having our children home, keeping them meaningfully engaged. Some of us have been staying at home for several weeks now and are kind of easing into those new rhythms. I remember growing up Sunday afternoons. My parents were good about keeping the Sabbath, and Sunday afternoons were given over to quietness. Some afternoons I would go over to my grandpa's house. He lived right behind us, and he would lay on the couch. I would sit on a little stool at his feet, and we would watch United of Omaha's the animal show, the Animal Kingdom, and then we would watch figure skating if it was on, and then we would watch WWF professional wrestling, and my grandpa would give commentary about the wrestling. Some Sundays, our family would go for a drive. We would go up logging roads into the mountains, or we would go poke around the ghost towns that were scattered in the foothills. These Sunday afternoons were quiet, and they sound idyllic in the description, but I remember the listlessness and the discontent that would steal over me each week as we would ease into this slower rhythm, this moment of suspended action. Seafarers have a word for times like this, when the wind ceases to blow and the ship is becalmed in the sea. The mercy of the waves swelling and subsiding, and the still air and the sun are hot and oppressive. They call it the doldrums. The church fathers had a name for these times as well, these moments of discontent and listlessness that come as we adjust to the stillness of Sabbath rest. They named that sensation acedia. Acedia is one of the great spiritual trials that the monastics would face. Boredom, melancholy, dis-ease, growing anxiety. These are all the spiritual trials that come as we move from activity to rest, as our active lives are being pruned away for an afternoon, as when I was a child, or for a season, as is happening now. Our Bible stories today speak about this. In Ezekiel, we have the story of the Valley of Dry Bones. In this story, the nation of Israel, the history of Israel has wound down. It has dried up. They're in exile, and their national identity is not just withered, it has been destroyed. Spiritually and nationally, it is not just as if they are dead, but they really are dead. As a nation, their skin is flaked off and blown away. Their ligaments have disintegrated. There is nothing left of life in them. Likewise, Lazarus from our gospel reading today. He is 4 days dead already. The old Jewish tradition is that when a person dies, their spirit stays close to the body for 3 days, but by the 4th day, the spirit has gone on to Sheol, and the person is gone forever, really dead. At this point, hope seems lost for Lazarus. But what looks like the end of the road for us, for God, is an opportunity to make new life. He is, after all, the one who in the very beginning took the dust of the earth and formed it into the shape of a man and breathed life into it to make Adam. Breathing new life into the nation of Israel or into Lazarus is just another chance for God to do what he does best, to bring life where life has ebbed away. Mortal, can these bones live? God asks Ezekiel in the Valley of Dry Bones. You know, Lord, Ezekiel says. And yes, God did know. His spirit blew through that dry valley, and the bones joined themselves together again. His breath blew, and he breathed out new life into the nation. And Lazarus, come out, Jesus cried. And Lazarus did come. the one who was beyond help. He came squinting into the sunshine. These dead times are times when God takes us under his wing to breathe new life into us. These times of being becalmed in the doldrums, these are times when God attends especially closely to us, doing deep work in our spirits. These are times when old things that we no longer need are being pruned away from us. These are times when God is doing deep identity work in us, showing us even more deeply what it means that we are his beloved children. These are times when God is deepening our participation in our covenant with him, his covenant with us, showing us how to live more fully as his own. And he is also deepening our covenant relationships with one another, as he's teaching us how to live more fully belonging to one another. These times of stillness are times for healing. You might be discovering that as you become still, grief is welling up. Old griefs that you've tucked away to deal with later, or the new grief of learning that you are not the master of your life in the way that you thought that you were. These times are when our spirits are laid bare, they're opened up, and we see the wounds that we are there. We see the bitterness that has grown. We see the deceptions that have crept in, the gods that we have made for ourselves. We see these things in a new and clearer way, and we grieve over them. And God sees, and he grieves over it all with us too. But God has power to bring new life that we do not have. And God is using that power with you. Tenderly, carefully, he is touching those griefs. He is preparing to heal those old wounds. He is carefully removing the bitterness and exposing and brushing away the deceptions. He is preparing you to be healed spiritually and emotionally. Mortal, can these bones live? You know, Lord, if they can. Yes, yes, the boneyards of our spirits can be breathed back into new life. I am watching, and I invite you to watch with me for the breath of God's Spirit to blow into and through our lives. In the stillness that we are being forced into, there is healing, there is forgiveness, there is new life. We will come out of these weeks and months different people and a different church than we are going in. Even now, we are already being transformed in ways that maybe we can't even see. So as much as you can, I invite you to take this time to draw near to God, to settle into stillness, to attend to his careful, gentle, and loving work in you. Now is the time to receive the new life that he is breathing into each one of us. Thanks be to God.